Okay, I'll just get going. It'll be a surprise when it comes. Okay, right, so let's go back in time. Let's go back to the drawing board. There we go, it's behind you. Awesome. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back eons. And we have men designing the female fertility cycle. Of course we do. You're going to be introduced to the two men who did it. The gentleman on the right is basically Anthony Burgess. The gentleman on the left is that drummer from Nirvana. Here they come. Hopefully. Okay, so King Man once says, right, women will produce babies. Women will bleed for 40 to 45 years, 7 days out of every month, and blood will come from their elbows. Aha, there we are. So Burgess and April. Blood, 7 days every month, and blood will come from their elbows or their mouth. Well, that's too straightforward. It should be much more awkward. It should be in a faraway place that's really tricky to clean. Vagina? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And what will a man do with his genitals? He'll wave them about, scratch them. He'll go fishing occasionally. And what's with the blood baby thing? Well, she will make babies. So she will have babies constantly for 40 years? I mean, she'll have 53.3 babies. No. Eventually, women will have a choice to have babies or not. And then she'll only really want to be fertile for about 5 years. So she'll have 38 years of pointless bleeding. Yeah. But we've not spoken about childbirth. We'll throw that together in the next meeting. Anything else about this blood baby thing? Well, water retention, sore breasts, cramps, terrible moods. Oh, that sounds insufferable. Don't worry about it. We'll hide them away for that week every month. That sounds sensible. Moving out of position. But what do men get? Well, they get erections, fuzzy faces, and balding heads. Oh, that's hard. And what do men do when women are performing first day on themselves? Well, they'll shave every day, they'll go fishing sometimes. And of course, we'll connect this blood thing to moon cycles. Why? No idea. And once a woman has reared her children, supported her partner, developed a career, and completed all the unpaid work in the house, we will give her a big fright. What is it? One morning, as Dianne Caskie was waking from anxious dreams, she discovered, thank you Kate, that in her bed she had changed into a monstrous mess of fluids, aches, doubt and fear. She had hit the perimenopause. But it wasn't overnight, and I do recall my first flush. We were in our kitchen in Kilcreggan, Karen, Susan, Fiona and I. It was 2018. And Fiona was talking about hot flushes or flashes. And that's when the female body is out of control with body temperature. You end up soaked, humiliated, and deeply, deeply exhausted. I had a full body flush in sympathy. She had infected me with perimenopause. Invariably, in most cases, studies show, generally speaking, I'm not a doctor or a witch. And what I present to you is my research from a wide variety of mostly European sources. So what is the menopause? So it comes from the Greek phrase, monthly stops. Or, as my friend, who was working with a doctor whose English was rather basic, she was told via text, you have a dead vagina. It's 10 years, 5 to 10 years of transition from fertile to non-fertile. And this is when J.D. Vance suggests that we exist solely to raise our grandchildren. Everyone's friend, Sigmund Freud, referred to menopausal women as quarrelsome, vexatious, and overbearing. And he offered the helpful title, castrates. Add that to the nasty list of critical age, pre-death, climacteric. It's a time of irregular periods. Flushes, flashes, embarrassment, fear, sleeplessness, incontinence, fornication, itchy skin, apathy, inertia, brain fog, memory alteration, and rage. menopausal rage, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, and flushes, aka flashes. It's the change. So perimenopause and menopause is when the body no longer produces eggs, meaning that estrogen is disappearing from our system. However, it's not a disease, and as I'm just going to reveal the magic. Beautiful. Beautiful. Lisa Montgomery is an educationist. She's an educator and a neuroscientist. She says it's brilliant, evolutionary genius, as it allows us to reinvent ourselves and make changes. Estrogen is disappearing from our bodies, and it's a time that we understand what a wonder drug it is. Not only does it help drive our reproductive system, but it affects cholesterol, blood sugar levels, bone and muscle mass, circulation, blood flow, collagen production, moisture in your skin, brain function, including your ability to focus. So, when estrogen disappears, what replaces it? Choose your metaphor. Private summer is very, very positive. But ultimately, the baby factory is closed. It's the change. There's considerable overlap between menopause and anxiety and depression symptoms. If you've ever had a panic attack, you will understand something about the perimenopause. You can't fight it. It's coming. Race, wealth, age, culture, ethnicity will all play their part in creating different menopauses. And despite what the media might tell you, it's not just white, heterosexual, middle-class women that experience the change. We can't forget the trans community, who will also experience this. And consider gender diversity. Not all women have ovaries, and not all women become mothers. But we all have mothers, sisters, daughters, friends who are facing menopause. So listen and learn. This bit is gloomy. It's ironic that when and if the menopause was spoken about in the past, it was a male voice with hushed tones and disgust. Bear in mind that it's only over the past 200 years that women have lived long enough to experience menopause, so it's quite trendy. This grotesque, grueling and gruesome reproduction system for females has been hidden away by Western societies, and most women were ignorant of their hormones. In the 1800s, Dr. Francis Scarl delightfully called the menopause climactic insanity. Victorian doctors urged for menopausal women to have hysterectomies, in addition to having water thrown on her, being slapped and sexually assaulted. The name hysteria is derived from the Greek word hysteria, which means uterus. This is water voiding. And then comes the name calling and the witch burning. Shrew, harridan, hag, crone. The West does not have a great tradition of valuing older women, but relegates them to the bin. Many cultures are scared of the older woman, perhaps from fear of dependency on her. Who else is going to do the unpaid work? And there's hidden guilt about older women, people who have no fertility function, the eunuchs. Demonologists in the 16th and 17th century considered signs of aging to be proof of sorcery. Chin hairs, witch. Wrinkles, witch. Warts, witch. If in the presence of others, a woman grows red and perspires heavily, she's a witch. If she's quarrelsome, angry, spoke loudly and moved at times with great speed towards a window to open it and to get a ladle of water, definitely a witch. Tragically, women dealing with menopause in the past were often misunderstood and sent to asylums, prisons, burned at the stake, forced to have hysterectomies, or even electroshock therapy. And even to this day, many are misdiagnosed and sent off with a serious bag of antidepressants. Researchers at Yale Medical School say that culture can affect a woman's experience of menopause. In societies where age is more revered and the older woman is wiser and better, menopausal symptoms are significantly less. Depending on who you talk to, attitudes to menopause are changing because people are increasingly educated. Sadly, many still judge the middle woman by the 3 F's: fertility, femininity, and sounds like likability. Being a middle-aged woman is embarrassing, we're told. Ageism does not affect men and women equally. Western media has minimised menopause by treating it as a taboo illness. Germaine Greer, who's been advocating for women since the 1970s, stated that our aversion to the menopausal woman is the result of our intolerance for female rage. It's ironic that female anger is not accepted, yet menopause makes us indignant and furious. But if we hold the anger in, it leads to disease. Many cultures use the older woman as a scapegoat, a repository for everything that is wrong with society, with social media giving us license to level and attack women. Recall the Karen syndrome. Not quite an attack on menopause, but it was a close enough ballpark or movement park. A Vodafone survey from the UK stated that 60% of women said that menopause negatively affected their work, and found that 30% of women missed work because of menopause. The UK Samaritans group says that the highest suicide rate in the UK for UK females is between the ages of 50 to 54. We must be mindful of menopause care. Thankfully, other cultures view it differently. Closer to home, Chinese medicine refers to the second spring. Natural, oh dear, I jumped ahead. Excuse me. There we go. A second spring. And some studies believe, let me take it back, it's a time of positivity and rebirth in Chinese culture. And some studies believe that this could be the key to having a more positive experience of menopause. My friend chose traditional Chinese medicine rather than hormone replacement therapy, and she's pleased with her choice. She has found TCM very relaxing and it reduced the intensity of her symptoms. The Asian diet is high in soy and low in processed foods compared to the Western diet, leading to Asian women not flushing so much. The Japanese word is kaneki, which means regeneration, energy, and renewal. It's about hormone balance rather than hormone depletion. In Islamic, Indian, and African societies, postmenopausal women enjoy greater social freedom as they no longer have to observe strict gender taboos. My Indian women from Mexico experience very strict boundaries and taboos about food and activity whilst they're menstruating. Menopause therefore allows greater freedom and is thus often positively awaited. Maori menopausal women become spiritual leaders. We now keep our eyes blood. However, just as there is period poverty in our world, there will also be menopause poverty. Vast number of women, mostly from less wealthy cultures, with no access to support. If you met me 10 years ago, you would have seen me playing the accordion, badminton, volleyball, guitar, coaching badminton club, being head of department, running speech and debate tournaments, taking risks, arguing with my children, singing, hosting and making speeches. And then something happened. On the eve of my 50th birthday, I told my sons to make me a birthday card. I need a drawing and a meaningful inscription, I demanded. What did I get? Well, the front page had crude representations of a yoga mat, a dog, a book, and a frying pan. Inside was the heartfelt and deeply considered, "Happy 50th, Mum. Hopefully you'll find some new, worthwhile activities." The pictures were in black and white. I was celebrated and patronised at the same time. It's glorious. It's why we become parents. However, I was celebrated on that day with a massive bag of Haribo, a beautiful green chair, and curry for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My sons highlighted how narrow my life had become. To share the context, I was in perimenopause, the 2 to 5 year phase where everything gets wobbly, not just your body. There's no way that I would have been able to make this speech 5 years ago. I was drowning in self-doubt, crippling fears, anger, sweat, and drained of estrogen. I was thirsty. It was such cruel timing as my kids were independent, I had spare time. I didn't want to spend my time in metamorphosis. Thankfully, hormone replacement therapy entered my life at the right time, as my family would testify. Twice a week, I attach a patch to my body when the symptoms lessen. The iconic moment that led the 3 Caskie men to beg me to see a doctor was when one of my sons made a comment about my new skirt that I got while I was on holiday in Turkey. I was really pleased with it. It was flouncy, it was bouncy, it was girly, it was whirly. And he said, "Ha, you look like a librarian." I kicked them for many reasons. I don't kick, donkeys kick. I was utterly ashamed. Other items that get damaged were cupboard doors and cars that honked their horn at me on my walk home from school. I was slapping cars in broad daylight in Azerbaijan. Another lowlight was when I asked Stephen if he'd ever been to Dublin, to which he replied, "Yes, Dianne. We started and ended our honeymoon." Rainfall, terrible. Swimming's been part of my regime since I was 10, and I abandoned it in the summer of 2018. Halfway through my 60 minutes, I did it 3 times a week, I hauled myself out of the pool and with disgust muttered to myself, "This is rubbish, this is crap." It was a period of transition, a massive, dull waiting room in which I couldn't bear to open any doors, and I just sat sweating and feeling trash. To quote a famous Scottish philosopher, "Can I be asked anyone anything?" Having been given a leaflet about puberty and a talk from the health teacher at age 10, I hoped to get a leaflet as I approached my midlife. Instead, I bought a menopause book from Amazon, a second-hand course. It was a late 90s edition. It was terrifying, especially the index. Everything was either going to dry up or get saturated. There was no middle ground. Things would droop and control would be lost. Yikes. Now I'm swimming again. I'm playing pickleball, guitar, mahjong, and I'm learning Tai Chi. I'm taking risks, I'm riding a moped, I'm cooking recipes, I've mastered the gluten-free pork dumpling and movies. But I do recall a low point in China when I jokingly asked my doctor, "Can I please have a sex change? I'm sick of being a woman." And she said, "Sorry, you don't offer that service." And look at me, I'm making speeches, and I'm wearing white trousers. But I'm not, because menopause. Yes, in the back of my mind, I have the fear of being labelled an old hag, dried up, witch, hag, Karen, and I fear of finger-trapping myself. But I've been lucky to find my menopause tribe, the menopause maidens we call ourselves on WeChat. We planned a wedding dress evening, each of us directed to buy an inappropriate wedding dress to display in a catwalk event at our houses. If you recall Miss Havisham from Charles Dickens's book Great Expectations, you can see that we're changing the narrative. It's going to be joyful and silly. And what have been the best 3 things in my life? Well, this will probably make you sick. Having babies, getting married to Mr. Caskie, and the menopause. Rather than being scary or preventative or alarmist, we need to empower people who are estrogen deficient. It's all about control. I, like 25% of women, did not have a monstrous perimenopause. I did not feel redundant or moribund much. And I started on HRT early and changed many of my lifestyle choices. So what is menopause magic? Ding ding. I'll share my menopause manifesto with you today, evangelical style, and you will go forth and spread the word. We've got to rebrand. It is menopause magic. We're entering a magic time. Sam Barker in her book The Shift says we should use the word shift. We shift from ignorance to knowledge, from fear to welcome, and it's hard not to think of shifting up. Spend that $250 a day that you used to that you used to spend on Tampax on something unsanitary. Not an expiry date. My worth is not dependent on my ovaries. Recreate, recharge, reinvent. There should be laughter. Create your metaphor. You might be a phoenix, you might be a roller coaster, you might be a volcano. We have to enjoy the chance of constant reinvention. In Gail Sheehy's book, The Silent Passage from '92, she says, women don't have hot flushes, they have power surges. Sam Baker says we need to celebrate menopause. It's a passage, it's a bridge to pass, not an abyss. As your birthdays and new homes get all the good things. So, the call to action today is, I want to hear all of you saying, like Malkovich, I want you to say, menopause, menopause, menopause. Let's hear it. Menopause, menopause, menopause. Okay, so it's on your lips. You need to take that message home and think about menopause, speak to people, investigate. I forgot about this. So we'll just do this really quickly. Let's see which side of the house. This is like tegomime or pantomime from Britain. Can we have the left-hand side of the hall shouting menopause, and then we'll have the right-hand side, we'll see who wins, and they'll get the sweeties. Okay, so this side, please. Can you shout menopause, menopause, menopause? Big prizes in line. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you guys, there's no chance. Okay, this side, please. 1, 2, 3. Close but not big. Right, Mr. Holland said I'm allowed to do this. Please don't open these sweeties. Right, hold on. I'm just gonna bombard. Some for that side as well. This way. Okay. So, go home and ask questions. And finally, with any medical issue, you need to get a passion and pursue it. You need to deepen your knowledge and find your healer. You need to find your tribe. You need to eat well and exercise and identify stress and deal with it. Your homework is to watch, from the UK and from Channel 4, Bridget Jones's comedy called The Change. It's very funny. She reminds us that women change and that men don't. She says, may all transitions be joyful. So, in tradition of the TED Talks, I'm going to finish with a song. But, inspirational woman, an elder woman, gets herself an Olympic medal. And this weekend, don't forget double ninth. So, when you're out with older people, can you please celebrate them and enjoy them? Buy some chrysanthemums. Okay. Here's the song. We've come a long, long way together, through the bad times and the good. I'm gonna celebrate you, estrogen. I'm gonna praise you like I should.